The man who once thought golf was a sissy sport has become the game's most enduring icon. At 90 years old, Gary Player is still shooting his age, still pushing 300 pounds with his legs, still walking the fairways 4 times a week, and still traveling the world with the energy of a man half his age. He sleeps 9 hours a night, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, and hasn't had bacon or ice cream in 28 years. But what nobody expected was the turn his personal life has taken. For years after losing his beloved wife Vivian to cancer, the man who was in the desert has found love again at 90. He's got a girlfriend, and he's not afraid to joke about it. The Black Knight is living a life that defies everything we thought we knew about aging. Gary Player turns 90 on November 1st, 2025, but if you ask him how old he feels, his answer is characteristically bold. I don't think of 90. I am 90. But really, my body is a man of, I'd say, 60-inch. At just 5'6" and 145 pounds, with a 31-inch waist that has barely changed since his heyday, Player casts an imposing figure. He's still pushing 300 pounds with his legs, running the treadmill at max, and doing sit-ups that would exhaust most men half his age. His secret? A laminated card he keeps in his wallet, given to him by a gerontologist, listing 12 keys to living to 100. Undereat. Exercise. Read. Prayer/meditate. Love. Ice bath. Gratitude. Sleep. Laugh a lot. Keep busy. Friends. Do things you don't want to do. All the gerontologists vary to a degree, but basically what they all agreed on to live a long time is undereat, Player says. Everybody's eating too much. Obesity, which is killing them. He's been a fitness fanatic since 1953, long before it was fashionable for golfers. Back then, he was ridiculed for weight training. Arnold Palmer, my brother, said, "Gary, you can't do this weight training." Bobby Jones said, "Gary, you can't do all this weight training. You're going to get muscle-bound. You won't win tournaments after 35. Well, they're all dead, and he's still going. Player still drives the ball 240 yards, only 30 yards shorter than his prime. He walks the course whenever he can, refusing to use a cart, seeing golf itself as one of the best ways to stay active. I don't believe in retirement, he says. If you don't use it, you lose it. The man who was ridiculed for weight training in the 1950s has outlived everyone who doubted him. Player also credits his longevity to his mental outlook. "I suppose it's a gift through God," he told TalkSport. "I mean, I've got unbelievable energy. If there's a fountain of youth, I don't even want a drop of it because I think I've got some of my best years ahead of me." He calls retirement a death warrant. They say, "I've worked hard, I'm going to take it easy." And yes, literally they do. They go home and they sit there and they overeat and they watch television and they die within 3 years. Player's claims about his golf prowess have sparked fierce debate among fans. He claims to have beaten his age more than 3,000 times in a row. "Guys, I've shot my age 3,349 times in a row," he boasted in a 2025 interview. The claim caught the attention of Monday Q-Info, who did the math. Assuming 150 rounds per year, that would mean Player hasn't shot over 70 for 3 years or over 75 for 8 years. The calculation highlighted the sheer improbability of the claim. Fans were quick to call him out. "Always baffles me when people just blatantly lie like this to the public," one fan wrote. "I applaud the specificity of the lie. Remarkable stuff," another added. Some pointed to a 1983 Skins game controversy where Tom Watson accused Player of moving a rooted leaf on the 16th hole before a putt, an allegation Player has always denied. "Yeah, I'm calling bulls, one fan concluded. Yet Player has always been consistent with his claims. He made the same assertion in a 2015 interview with the Daily Mail, and he's never wavered. Despite the backlash, Player remains defiant. He recently shot par at Dutchman's Pipe Golf Club in West Palm Beach and insists his claim is accurate. When Lee Trevino mocked him, player laughed it off. Trevino says, "What's so good about that? You got to shoot 18 over par." I love Trevino. The debate over players' claims has become part of his legend. A man who refuses to be bound by the limitations of age or logic. Whether you believe him or not, there's no denying that the man who has won more professional tournaments than any other golfer in history has earned the right to be heard. Player has never been one to hold back his opinions. At 90, he's still offering hot takes that spark debate. He's declared the Ryder Cup in shambles, criticized the F word being used on broadcasts, and called it the worst event in the world. He later backtracked on some comments, releasing a statement saying, "It has been brought to my attention that recent media reports have stated that I wish to see an end to the Ryder Cup competition. Nothing could be further from the truth." His comments on the modern game have been equally pointed. There's no such thing as a par 5 in the world. They're hitting 8 irons. They're driving at least one par 4. It's a par 67-inch. Player wants the golf ball rolled back 60 yards for professionals to preserve the integrity of the game's classic courses. On the LIV Golf Divide, he's equally blunt. The players that went to LIV, they made their bed. They chose the big money and they got big money. Now, the other guys have come along and supported the PGA Tour. Are you going to bring these guys back and kick these guys in the ass? What sort of loyalty is that? Player has also been a vocal critic of America's obesity crisis. The United States of America, the greatest country God ever made, it's a nation of obese people, he said. He believes eating habits are killing people and calls undereating the most important key to longevity. His honesty has made him a polarizing figure, but it has also earned him respect. He doesn't care what people think. He says what he believes and moves on. When asked whether Phil Mickelson should be allowed back on the Ryder Cup team, Player was diplomatic. Phil seems fine with his decision and knew he likely would not be part of this year's team if he left the PGA Tour. "My hope is the golf world will be united going forward." His ability to balance brutal honesty with diplomatic grace is a testament to 9 decades of experience. The most unexpected turn in Player's life came after the death of his beloved wife, Vivian. They were married for 64 years, a partnership that spanned his entire career. When she died of pancreatic cancer in 2021, Player was devastated. "For 4 years, I was in the desert," he said. Then, at age 89, he met Susan Waterfall, an 84-year-old New York native at a charity golf event. Their friends had been trying to introduce them for over a year. When she finally walked up to him on the putting green in Miami, he put his arm around her and affectionately called her Susan Tsunami because of her energy. A year later, they announced their relationship at the PNC Championship. "Boy, it's changed my life," Player said. "You've got to have a love in your life." Player's openness about love, grief, and healing has resonated with fans. "I had the most incredible wife a man could have. She died 4.5 years ago. For 4 years, I was in the desert, and then I met this chick. I said to her straight away, I don't have time for romance at 90. I said, I'm looking for an American girlfriend. She said, I'll think about it, and that's how it started." The relationship has brought new joy to Player's life. She loves golf. She loves gymnasium. She loves to travel, and she laughs all day long, Player shared. She watches what she eats. She doesn't smoke. She keeps in shape, and we want to go to a lot of places in the world together. At a ladies' luncheon, Player was asked whether he holds her hand and kisses her. His response was classic Player. "I said all the time." The next lady said, "Do you kiss her?" I said, "Ma'am, I kiss her all the time." I said, "Before you ladies become too familiar, I want you to know she's pregnant. I've got a girlfriend at 90, which is quite extraordinary, isn't it?" Player said with a laugh. But despite the romance, Player has refused to marry her. "She wants me to marry her." I said, I'm not going to marry you. I'm not getting married at 91. You should marry your phone. She's on that phone so damn much. The refusal is tied to his disdain for modern technology and screen addiction among young people, which he views as everything he has spent 90 years resisting. Oh, it becomes so addictive. And kids today, they don't read anymore. Keep the phone, but do some reading. Player's commitment to living life without distractions is absolute. He reads constantly, writes books, and stays engaged with the world. A phone, in his view, is a barrier to real human connection. And no matter how much Susan Waterfall wants to marry him, he's not giving in. In 2023, Player was at the White House alongside Bryson DeChambeau to sign a proclamation reviving the presidential fitness test. His foundation, established with his late wife Vivian, has raised more than $5 million and positively impacted over 40,000 children in 3 years. Player's view of retirement remains unchanged. When you retire, most people die quickly. I've got to keep young. I got to keep moving. The Gary and Vivian Player Foundation operates in South Africa and the United States, with his daughter Amanda running the U.S. office. The foundation has made significant donations to Place of Hope, a faith-based organization, and founded the Blair At-Hole School in South Africa. In 2025, the foundation presented a $150,000 check to Found Care in Riviera Beach, Florida, with a pediatrics unit named in Player's honor. It's nice to be a world champion, Player said, but it's nicer to be a world champion with love. Player's philanthropic work is driven by his own childhood suffering. His mother died when he was 9, his father was a gold mine captain, and he often went home to an empty house. I lay in bed for 2 years on and off wishing I was dead, crying in bed. That was the greatest gift bestowed upon me ever. And that's what made me a world champion. Player's view of his own legacy is surprisingly humble. I don't believe in legacy. I believe you need to change the world for the better while you're here. Then you die and let the young people take over. Despite his age, Player remains fiercely engaged with the world. He still writes books, plays golf, and travels globally. I seldom exercise in the morning. You got to channel your energy in the right way. I like to exercise at night. If I'm not playing the next day, I will work out very hard. Exercise helps me sleep. One of the great secrets to longevity is sleeping well because it builds up the immune system. And I'm a champion sleeper. You could put me in a room right now, and I could sleep for 14 hours. Player has outlived almost all of his contemporaries. I've lasted longer than Sam Snead, the greatest athlete to ever play the game, he said. He played with Gene Sarazen and Tommy Armour. He met Walter Hagen. He has lived through 9 decades of golf history and has become its most enduring ambassador.